Hi Scorpio, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your September 2025 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as OBM from us, the Celtic crossbred as always, and I also pulled the Four Agreements and Wisdom of the Oracle card for you guys. But we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Aries. And for you guys, Aries is actually your sixth house of work, health, and daily routines. We've had Chiron there for a long time. Currently, we have Neptune retrograde in Aries, and also technically Saturn as well. But Saturn will be moving back into Pisces right at the start of September. But yeah, so definitely lots of energy going on in there. Well, speaking of Saturn, we also have that as well. So yeah, like I mentioned, it's technically still retrograding in Aries, and then it will be moving into Pisces right at the start of September. So it'll be moving from your sixth house of work, health, daily routines to your fifth house of romance, creativity, and children. And we have 7. So seventh house energy for you guys is Taurus. Of course, we had Uranus there for a long time, but it moved into Gemini, so that area of the zodiac's a little bit more quiet for you guys as well. But yeah, generally speaking, seventh house is partnerships and relationships and contracts as well. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the Empress, and then challenging that, we have the Four of Cups. So the Empress I usually do view as more of a Taurus energy, and this Four of Cups is Cancerian energy. But what I'm getting from this could just be saying that maybe you've been in this Empress mode, which is just being more open and receptive to things coming your way. But the challenge could be maybe the things that have been coming your way aren't necessarily to your liking, right? So the reason that could be a challenge there could just be saying, well, that might actually mean that you would need to be a little bit more proactive in pursuing opportunities. So, it's one thing to be open and receptive to them, but if you spot something that you would like, you might have to be a little bit more proactive in going after it. In the foundation position, we have the Hermit. So yeah, this is actually the major arcana card for Virgo, and of course we'll be in Virgo season for roughly the next month. So yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like this is saying during Virgo season, that might come more into your awareness, where you might actually start to reevaluate that and say, okay, yeah, maybe I can be a little bit more proactive when it comes to going after an opportunity I want when I see it. In the past position, we had the Moon. So yeah, part of why you might have been a little bit more in that energy of holding back and just waiting for things to come your way could just be saying that maybe you weren't necessarily seeing the situation clearly, right? So yeah, it kind of reminds me of sometimes in the spiritual community, people do take like the manifestation talk a little bit over the top, right? Where they take it to the extreme where everything just magically falls into your lap, right? Where it's like the reality usually calls for you having to take a little bit more action than that. So it could have been one of those things where maybe you got swept up in that mentality and then you're realizing, okay, yeah, the reality isn't necessarily playing out the way that I thought it would. In the present position, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So this is actually Taurus energy here, which we did see 7th house come up with your dice as well. So yeah, it could just be saying maybe you're really evaluating some of the partnerships you have entered into. So of course, people tend to think romantic connections with 7th house, but as we see with the Pentacles here, this could even be maybe a business partnership that you entered into, or even just maybe a career path, right? If you're still in school, for example, you're like, oh, is this still something I want to pursue? Or am I starting to lose enthusiasm for it? In the near future position, we have the Ace of Cups. So yeah, this is, to me, pointing to the potential for you guys to get a spark of creativity coming your way this month. And that would make sense as far as we're going to have a full moon eclipse on the 7th of September in Pisces, which is your 5th house of creativity. So I feel like that might be the more likely time when you would feel that spark. But yeah, it looks like something's going to come to you quite suddenly that'll give you a reinvigoration around your creativity or give you some ideas of creative projects you could launch or even a creative way to resolve this issue that you might be working through. All right, in a position of your influence in the situation, we have the Queen of Swords. So yeah, so to me this says that ultimately you do have fairness and balance on your mind. So, and maybe that's part of what's gonna take you out of the Empress energy somewhat too, right? To say, okay, yeah, maybe I do need to be a little bit more balanced with my approach. Like we said, yeah, stay open, stay receptive by all means, but you know, you could also watch things pass you by if you're a little bit too heavily entrenched in that energy. So that could be something that's coming to your awareness as well. All right. In the environment, we have the Six of Pentacles. So yeah, this is Taurus energy here as well. So yeah, could just be saying that maybe you are just seeking more balance in partnerships you're into, right? Which makes sense. Like we said, whether it's romantic, friendship, financial, right? It looks like you definitely are seeking more balance and just looking for what's fair first and foremost. And the positive there, given that this is an environment position, I feel like this is saying that others would be in that same energy as well. So it will be a good time to reach compromises this month. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Four of Swords. So this is Libra energy here. So yeah, this could just be saying that ultimately you hope that you've healed from these situations, right? To where you feel like, okay, maybe this has been a bit of a stagnant period that you went through, but you hope that you've learned what you needed to learn from it, and you won't be repeating that in the future. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the King of Swords. So yeah, so I view this as maybe you're going to be growing a little bit more with your confidence around your beliefs, right? What you're thinking, you're going to feel more mentally sharp and more sure of yourselves as you move forward. So definitely a positive in that regard. You know, I mean, of course, with the Queen energy, there's more balance there, but this could also be representing that shift where we said, feminine energy with the Empress there, being open and receptive. This is still feminine energy here as well, Libran energy. And then shifting to this Aquarian energy, the more masculine energy, right? Could just be saying, okay, I got it now, right? So, yes, it's totally cool to be in this energy sometimes, but occasionally you need to embrace the more masculine as well. And speaking of which, bottom of the deck, we have the Lovers. So this is really the major arcana card for Gemini, but looking at it in the context of what we were talking about here, to me, this looks like finding that balance, right? Between knowing, okay, when to embrace the feminine energy, when to embrace the masculine energy, right? And make them work in your favor. This could also represent some things being worked out behind the scenes somewhat as well. And interestingly enough, beneath that, we have Justice as well. So we were talking about the Libran energy, the balance energy. So definitely looks like there's a movement towards balance this month. And given the Libran symbolism there as well, wouldn't surprise me if this even extends into late September as well. All right, from the Four Agreements deck, we have Always Do Your Best. And it says surrender and let go of the past. All right, it says whatever life takes away from you, let it go. When you surrender and let go of the past, you allow yourself to be fully alive in a moment. Letting go of the past means that you can enjoy the dream that is happening right now. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there. It doesn't look like you're necessarily releasing any one thing in particular, but like I said, maybe more so of getting a little bit too heavily reliant on the feminine energy and embracing a more balanced energy moving forward. From the Wisdom of the Oracle, we have Unfinished Symphony. There's the artwork. And the number is 10. We'll see what this has to say. All right, essential meanings says unfinished business, an incomplete lesson, lack of closure, the need to make amends. The Oracle's message. This is a time to tie up loose ends as you near the completion of a cycle or project and mastery of a lesson or skill. Before you can move forward, it's important that you come to terms with where you are now. Practice radical acceptance. Take inventory so that emotional and psychological closure can occur and the answers you seek will be found. You can't move forward if you're leaving things unfinished. Reflect on what has passed so that the symphony can finally end on a high note. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there, right? Because maybe that's even what the hermit energy is pointing to as well, to maybe where you will replay past situations in your mind and figure out, okay, maybe this is what went wrong, what I could have done differently, right? And building off of that. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean, physically reconnecting with someone or something from your past, but maybe just reviewing it through a higher lens. The relationship message says, moving on is difficult when love lingers, things are left unsaid, and you haven't had the opportunity for closure in your relationship and in your heart. You can still feel bound up in relationships when closure is denied you. It's important to achieve this for yourself. Write that letter, make that call, or have that conversation over a cup of coffee. For peace of mind, accept matters as they are, make amends if need be, and declare your feelings, even if only to yourself. Be clear about what was left unresolved, and close the door in the past so you can set yourself free. Only then can new love blossom. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there as well, because that seems to align a little bit with the message from the other Oracle deck. For those of you who are trying to release a past situation. And the prosperity message says, make sure you complete projects now before starting new ones. Perhaps you have created something special that will increase your sense of abundance and bring you opportunities for wealth. However, if you don't see it through, it won't add up to anything but more clutter. Now is the time to put your nose to the grindstone and complete tasks that have accumulated. Pay your bills, sign the documents, do your filing, hand in an assignment, complete a work of art. Tie up loose ends so you can move forward with surety, knowing you're on the prosperous path and feeling refreshed and excited about the future. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there, because if this is about closing cycles too, seeing that shift from the Empress energy to the Queen of Swords and then eventually the King of Swords, looks like you'd be moving in a positive pattern as far as that goes as well. And then that could be what helps that Ace of Cups energy come in the near future. All right, so hopefully that resonates with you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.